Welcome to my channel. My name is Solo. I'm a Christian dating coach. I specialize in showing single Christian women how to go from single to married in a year. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I show you exactly how to do this in my Dating to Married program, where I have helped my clients go from single, no man available, to married, settled down within a 12-month time frame. So you click the link in my bio on my first tab to apply for the Dating to Marry program. If you are a single Christian woman over 30 with a demanding career and you struggle to find time to date, not to talk about meeting the man of your dreams, Dating to Marry is the right program for you. I show you in 6 months how to go from single to married in a year. So today I wanted to talk about getting into a relationship after you've been single for years. Now I'm talking about a committed relationship that leads to marriage, a relationship that is God approved, signed, sealed, and has his full delivery behind it. I want to show you what you should look out for. Now I'm curious, in the comments, if you can just let me know how long you've been single for. If you're watching this live, just drop it in the comments. Okay. So you have to understand as a single Christian woman that your path, first of all, your path is different, okay? You cannot use the path of your sisters, your friends, your colleagues to grade your own unique path to marriage. Your entire path is different. And you would have discovered this. You would have discovered this as you're dating, as you're meeting men. You would have discovered this in your conversations with men, in some situationships you've been in. You would have discovered that things are different for you, the way men interact with you, how you are able to connect with men, the kind of commitments coming out of your relationships with men. It just follows a different trajectory. So it's important for you to recognize that instead of fighting against it. And when I say fighting against it, how you do this is ignore it, do not listen to it, do not pay attention to what God is trying to show you. Staying where he has told you to leave, being too passive about your dating process, expecting a good man to fall into your lap from the sky. It's not going to happen. That's why you're still single. It's not because there are no good men. It's not because there are no godly men. It is literally because you have failed to pay attention to your own unique path for marriage. That is the first thing I wanted to say, because it's very important that you have that foundation to understand the steps I'm about to share. Now, as a Christian woman, discernment is really important in your dating process, but so is data. Dating requires data. When I talk about data, I mean the facts, I mean the figures, I mean paying attention to actual dating experiences. So you want to look at how have you been meeting men? How have you been going on dates? What is your commitment cycle like? What I mean by commitment cycle is how long does it take you to commit to a relationship? How long do you get before you get emotionally attached to men that you're talking to? Do you tend to hyper focus on one man at a time? Are you even struggling to meet men? That data is important, because what I see Christian women do that is wrong is taking the data and using it as if it's some sort of spiritual stronghold. Instead of using, like, oh, maybe you find, I always struggle to talk to men for more than 2 weeks. And you automatically assume it's a spiritual problem. Instead of investigating from a factual perspective, what happens in that 2-week timeline? Why is it every man that talks to you never lasts more than 2 weeks? Where does it go wrong? What are the patterns that you're seeing there? That is actually going to give you the answer, instead of thinking and praying and kabashing over what you assume is a stronghold that isn't even there. And the irony is you're the weapon fashioned against yourself, as we say in Nigeria. In other words, you're the one operating in you're the one operating against yourself. Use the data to your advantage, okay? And this is why when I work with clients one-on-one, in my Dating to Marry program, yes, it's a Christian program. Yes, it is founded on Christian values. I literally pray, beginning, end of calls with clients. I like to pay attention to the data, because God is also going to give you information through the data to give you discernment. Okay, so in Dating to Marry, we do what we call a dating audit, where I take all this information based on your data points and start to help you discern and really pay attention to where are the patterns here, so that you can see how you are standing in your own way of getting into a committed relationship, meeting eligible single godly men, being in a position where you are irresistible to the quality and caliber of men you desire. These are all important steps that need to happen for you to get into a committed relationship leading to marriage, right? So data gathering is so important. You need to know, okay, what is the cycle you're currently in? Because whatever that cycle is, for instance, if you're in a cycle where you've not been in a date for years, that cycle is going to continue unless you break it by paying attention to data points. Why have you been in the cycle of not being in a relationship for years? What exactly have you been doing that has propelled that cycle to continue to progress in your life and to take up more room and space? Because you're getting older, you're dealing with more pressure, you're losing more hope, you're getting more frustrated. So it's like you're giving that cycle you're in more energy, more empowerment, more of your time focus, and it's draining on you. That is actually why you're getting anxious and frustrated. It is not the men, it is the cycle you're in. So you need the data to break out of that cycle, which is why when I'm working with my clients, the first thing is I take the data, we put it through a dating to marry audit, so that we can look at how we can break that cycle as simply and as quickly as possible. This is how I'm able to get my clients, like literally within 30 days of the program, talking to men. Okay, and maybe they haven't been talking to men for years. This is how I'm able to get them talking to men. This is how I'm able to get them in a position where they are connecting with men, flirting, deciding on who they want to go on dates with, because that is actually the work that needs to happen for you to get into a relationship leading to marriage. Right now, you have not even started. If you are in a position where you've not dated, you've been in a cycle of lack of commitment for years, and it's just not working, and you're not meeting enough eligible men, or you find that you're committing to men that say one thing and do something completely different, you haven't really started dating. You are still dealing with a cycle that you have participated in, maybe through lack of paying attention to your patterns, not using the data that has come back, that has presented itself with different men as you're dating. You haven't even started dating yet, because that is not how a dating experience should pan out. When you are having a dating experience leading to marriage, you should know how you attract men, and I'm going to go into that in a second. You should be having a cycle whereby you're able to connect with men, commit with men consistently, or rather connect with men, communicate, I meant to say, with men consistently, and you should know, you should be able to predict to a certain extent how long it takes for you to get into that pattern of communicating with men and connecting with men tangibly, so that you can predict how it's going to be, how your husband is going to come into your life. Because he's going to come into this through the same door all these other men have come in through. So for example, with one of my clients, she had a problem whereby she was constantly in situationships. She was over 30, frustrated, dealing with a lot of pressure to settle down. Now, she thought her problem was she wasn't meeting eligible men. When we gathered the data, the issue was she was prematurely involving her family members. That was the problem. How many of you do that? You tell your friends, you tell your family all your business. Her problem was her family was way too involved in her dating life. And we got that from the data that we had gathered from her dating audit. Now, would you believe that within a year of the program, and we had cleaned up, okay, yes, you're close to your family. Yes, they really value, they really value you. They want to make sure, they want to vet the men you're talking to. But once we cleaned up the boundaries around that, her husband came into her life. Same way she's been meeting other men, but now a completely different environment around her. She met her husband, got engaged, got married within a year. The problem was her family members. It wasn't that there were no eligible men. It wasn't that men were it wasn't what she thought the issue was, which is men didn't want to commit to her. The problem was how she was presenting herself to these men based on the influence of family and close relationships. Once we cleaned that up, her husband came into her life literally less than a couple of months later after finishing the program, and she got engaged and married. That was the issue. So the reason I share that example is I want you to understand how important data is to getting you the results that you're looking for when it comes to dating to marry. Okay. And then moving on. Tap the hearts if that was useful for you if you're watching this live. Tap the hearts, tap the hearts. If you have any questions for me, drop it in the question box. If we have enough time after, I will take your questions. Okay. I see a comment here. But yeah, please drop it in the question box. I'll come back to your comment. But I wanted you guys to have that example to see how she thought that, oh, men aren't serious with me. They don't want to commit to me. You know, they drag me along. They take me to all these functions. Meanwhile, the problem was the men couldn't take her seriously enough based on too much involvement from her family members. And once we cleaned that up, lo and behold, she was engaged and married within a year. Now she has her entire family. You know, she's a mother, she's a wife, and so on. And it was through doing an audit, a dating audit, that we got that. So it's important that you use the data when you're dating to your advantage. Now, second thing I want to say, I see a lot of Christian women make this mistake of focusing on what you don't want and using, I'm going to say it in two ways. Focusing on what you don't want and using it against yourself. So what I mean by that is, you know you don't want to date somebody that isn't financially stable. So when you go on dates and when you're talking to men, you are entertaining those men. A lot of you are dating men that are not financially stable, that are not in a position to provide for you financially in any way, shape, or form. They are not taking you on dates. You know, they are not, they don't have careers. They have ambitions, but no career. They have no career to back it up. They're constantly making excuses around finances. You're supporting them. So you are using what you don't want against yourself because you're afraid that what you do want is unavailable to you. And what you don't understand is you have to say no before you get to your yes. So as a single Christian woman, especially when you have a demanding career, you know you work long hours, you know that you're a single mom, you know that you really desire to get married again after a divorce, it is very important that the men you make yourself available to are matching the baseline of your desires. You shouldn't be compromising on your baseline. When I say baseline, I mean the non-negotiable requirements. You shouldn't be compromising on those. But a lot of you are doing that. I've come to find in my work. And it's getting in the way of you meeting your husband. Because guess what? Your husband isn't going to be a man that doesn't meet your baseline. If anything, he will meet it very easily. But because you spend so much time talking, entertaining, committing to men who do not meet your baseline, your husband doesn't even have room to find you. You know, think of yourself in a room and you keep opening the door to all the wrong men. How are you gonna know when how's your husband supposed to be easily recognizable to you? How is he supposed to find you when there's a sea of wrong men in the room? There's a lot of wrong men around you. But that's how a lot of you are dating, and that's why you're still single. And then on the other end of the scale, I see where, because you know what you're looking for, you start to over-investigate in the dating process. So maybe you're looking for a man that has a relationship with God. And I say maybe, of course you are. But I say maybe because I want to present that as an example in this next point. You know, you're looking for a man that has a relationship with God. From the first dates, in fact, from the first conversation, you're talking to him about, I don't know, worship. You're talking to him about your relationship with God, which is great and all fine and good, but you're doing it from a standpoint of trying to figure out if he's on the same level as you. And y'all think men can smell these things. Same way women are intuitive, men also have instinct. So he will know that you're prodding and prying in that angle based on what is she trying to find? Is she trying to figure something out about him, about me? You become very investigative. You start asking a lot of questions. It kind of starts to sound like he's talking to a detective instead of him just trying to get to know you. And it puts him off. It turns him off. In other words, he loses interest. You will notice that calls decrease. he doesn't follow up with you anymore. Or if you're in a process where you have already committed to this person, they start putting in less effort, they start to withdraw. It is your approach. Now, what I want to say is you shouldn't be dating at 50%. Now, when I say 50%, I mean of the list of qualities you desire, say over 100%, you should be able to get a solid 70% of qualities in the men that you are entertaining. And this is the reality of my clients. This is what I have seen through my work. These are the men that my clients are committing to. These are the men my clients are dating. And I'm sharing this to let you know these men do exist. But a lot of you are dating at 50%. You're just happy if you see 50%. That's the problem. To get your 70%, you also need to be dating. You also need to match that level of qualities you're looking for. If you're currently not attracting the caliber and quality of men you want, it means that they don't want you. Okay? If you're saying, oh, I'm visible, I talk to men, but I'm still attracting the wrong men, it means that you are not... your frequency, for lack of a better way of putting it, your feminine energy, so to speak, is not operating at the level of qualities that you desire for yourself. You want a financially stable man, but you're a financial mess. You want somebody that takes their fitness seriously, but you don't take your fitness seriously. You want somebody that has an ambitious career, that has goals for their career path, that participates at a high level in their organization, but you don't do any of these things and you're not available for it. Then you're not going to attract that kind of person. You want a man that takes care of his appearance, you don't take care of yours. It's that simple. It's like a mirror. So if you're not attracting the level of qualities you want, I would ask you to look at yourself first. That's the first thing. And, when I'm working with my clients, we work through what we call a marital template. So this is a template that I show my clients through the template how to be able to know what their husband looks like so that they can make themselves available to him right now simply by changing their own approach to their current environment. So the marital template shows them, okay, this is what my husband looks like. This is how he's going to come into my life, and creates a very simple system for them to make themselves available to those opportunities in their present environment. So, because I always say your husband is going to fit into your routine. You're not going to meet him somewhere that you don't usually frequent. It's rare, and it does happen, but it is rare. You're probably going to meet him somewhere you usually frequent, through someone you're close to, and so on and so forth. So it's important to pay attention to your current environment to be able to see how you're creating opportunities for him to come into your life. And for him to be able to notice you, you need to be participating in your life at a level that draws his attention. So this is why with the marital template, it helps my clients to clarify, okay, what are opportunities in my current routine and in my own daily practice that I'm raising my visibility so that my husband is able to notice me as simply as possible. Okay? Tracking back a bit, that is why you want to know your 70%. But a lot of you are dating at 50%. Simply when I say 50%, you're just okay with a guy that is marginally attractive to you. You're not too sure about him. But you spend months talking to him because you don't want to be alone. You're emotionally anxious that, okay, maybe what I want isn't available. And the irony is that's actually why you're still single. But you want to look for your 70%. What is your 70%? And speaking about your 70%, a simple way to know where you are, where you should focus is, what are your negotiables? Because a lot of you think your non-negotiables are so unattainable that you start negotiating them anyway. What are your negotiable points? So know your 30%. What is a 30% to you? What are you willing to compromise on? What are you willing to give a little room for? What's your 30%? It's important for you to know that as well. There's a lot of emphasis. Yes, both are important, but I don't see enough emphasis on what are your negotiables. There's so much teaching around don't compromise your non-negotiables, but what are you willing to compromise on? It's really important to know that. And during the work of the Dating to Marry program, because, through the program, clients start to meet men, go on dates, reach the point of commitment. The reason they're able to do that within the time frame of the program, which is 6 months, and move from single to married in a year, is because they know they are 30%. Okay, I have a simple process that makes it clear to them, what is your 30%? What are you willing to compromise on? Because nobody is perfect. You have issues, I have issues, everyone has issues. You need to know your 30%. That's why I said not all red flags mean you should stop. And through the Dating to Marry program, I help my clients to understand when a red flag means a no, or a red flag means actually this is an opportunity for me to explore my 30%. Because you're going to find it in every man you date, no matter how great he is. But the issue is, if you've been single for years, another thing I see is if you've been single for years, you expect the dating scene to operate the way it did, I don't know, the last time you were in a relationship. The dating scene has drastically changed over the years, and I may do a live on this, I'm not sure. But there are a lot of shifts in the way men and women operate, the way men and women interact with one another, the expectations around intimacy, relationships. A lot of things have shifted. Men now expect you to participate in the process of being pursued. They also like to be pursued a bit. They also like to have conversations. They also like to talk to you and know that they are desired too. You can't just be sitting there waiting for him to do all sorts of things. It doesn't work that way. And the reality of this is, it is going to affect the way you date. If you're talking to a man, and I've seen this present itself in different ways. You either get prematurely emotionally attached when a guy gives you attention. You start having all these expectations, and lo and behold, he loses interest after 1 week. But because you are not used to that, you assume that because he gave you attention for, I don't know, the first 2 weeks, he's serious. Meanwhile, that's not what was going on at all. He was just curious. He wasn't serious. He was just curious. So if you don't pay attention to the dating trends in the way in which it affects how you are communicating, connecting with men, it is going to affect your expectations around dating. And unfortunately, it is going to put you in a position whereby you start looking for a guy that doesn't exist. You start looking for men that are perfect, going to pursue you. Christian men also struggle with dating. Let me say that. Single Christian men also struggle with pursuit. They don't know how to pursue. And I'm saying this based on my work as a coach. I work with men as well. A lot of Christian single men do not know how to pursue women. They struggle. They need encouragement. So I'm not just talking I'm not just speaking generally in terms of worldly dating. I'm talking about dating holistically as an entire experience. A lot of Christian single men struggle to pursue. Some of them wait too long. They don't know what to say. They don't have enough experience, which is why you are now, as a single Christian woman, required to participate. You need to encourage them. You need to create opportunity. I call it open the door. You need to open the door. You need to create opportunities to invite them to interact with you. And I call it in my program, it's called drop your handkerchief, which in the days of old, apparently a woman would drop her handkerchief to get a man's attention because she couldn't approach a man. So I show my clients how to drop their handkerchief, so to speak, so that they encourage men to approach them, communicate and talk to them and converse with them, and that can lead to a solid relationship. What I have seen is, because you don't understand this, you get prematurely attached. You choose the wrong men to commit to, because a guy asks to be your to be your boyfriend, you agree for no reason whatsoever, apart from the fact that he asked and he gave you attention. What is happening is, it's so funny because it means that your standards have even dropped. In an effort to maintain them, they have dropped drastically. And you are required to participate now. So I'm seeing in the comments that you guys have had these experiences. Okay, thank you for sharing. This is what I've seen as a Christian dating coach, just, working with men and women. You need to understand the current dynamics of relationships with men. Okay, the men of today are not the same as, I don't know, the last time you dated, whether it was 5-10 years ago. It is a completely different dating scene. And this is why when I'm working with my clients, I help them to understand how men currently think, how men currently operate. You are required to move differently. You can't just sit and be staring. Nothing will shift. You need to participate. You need to be more vocal. You need to remove that fear of, what if I come off needy? Da, 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 da. What if it sounds like I'm asking for too much? That doesn't translate in this current dating environment. If you keep quiet, all that's going to come across is you're not interested, and they'll get bored and move on. So you need to participate, which is why I show my clients how to drop the handkerchief. In other words, how to communicate with men casually, in a flirtatious way, and in a feminine way, to encourage them to pursue. It is a skill, and it is required to be able to date in a way that leads to a committed relationship, because to get to that point of commitment, you need to be desirable. I'm just speaking facts here, guys. I want to make this as practical as possible, okay? You need to be desirable. You do not commit to someone or something you do not desire. So to be desirable, you need to participate. You need to be able to present yourself in a way that communicates exclusivity, rarity, value, and packages it in such a way where it draws men to you constantly on that level. And that's a skill I teach my clients to do. Now, another point I want to make is you need to understand how you connect with men. Okay, I'm trying to think of an example. Everyone's communication style is different. For example, some people, you have some friends that like to talk on the phone. You have some friends that like to text you instead. You have some friends that love to do video calls. Same way, you need to understand how you connect with men. In other words, how do men come into your life? How do they what do they see in you that's so interesting? You can figure that out from the conversations they have with you, from the comments they make, from the way they present themselves in your life. Okay, it's important to know these things, because that is going to give you a clue as to where men see your value. Okay, and if a lot of men are coming to you solely asking for sex, financial favors, that is what they are seeing. That is to tell you on your end, you need to shift your positioning, which is why when I'm working with my clients, again, back to the data, we use the data of, okay, how are men currently coming into your life and what are the shifts we need to make? I have literally seen clients go with men that maybe they're talking to men that are taking them for granted, maybe not taking them on dates when they started working with me, which is why they came to me in the first place, not taking them on dates, taking them for granted, stuck in situationships for months. Within like a 4-week time frame of shifting their positioning, these same men want exclusivity all of a sudden, want more access into their lives, are looking for their time and attention. Why? All they did was shift the way they were making themselves available. There's a process that I put my clients through to be able to achieve this, because when you know how to do that, you will change the way men perceive you and ultimately the way they pursue you. And you will have a lot more men wanting to commit to you at a higher level. When I say a higher level, I mean it will be natural for men to be wanting exclusivity with you. It will be natural for you to experience men wanting more access into your life. In other words, they want to know what you're doing. They want to know how they can be helpful to you. It will be natural for men to want to commit to you on a valuable skill. In other words, beyond, even before saying let's be boyfriend, girlfriend, they are available to provide for you. They are available to protect you emotionally, offer emotional safety, participate in things that are important to you, spiritually, like, for example, prayer. They do those things more because you shift the way you position yourselves. I'm explaining this because the mistake I see here is assuming you are talking to the wrong men, instead of the truth is you are just talking to men the wrong way. It is not that you are talking to the wrong men, it is the way you are talking to men that is wrong, okay? And, I've seen this with clients that once we shift their positioning, the same men that didn't want to take them on dates, which is why they came to me in the first place, the same men they've been stuck in situationships with for months, the same men that they were that was kind of using them like a yo-yo, tables have now turned, and these men are now asking for commitment, asking to take them on dates, asking for access, trying to plan, trying to get exclusivity, because they just switched the way they were connecting to men. So to go from single to a committed relationship leading to marriage, you need to pay attention to how you connect with men and what you can switch there. You also want to understand how men think. the problem I see here is you are thinking like a woman when you are interacting with men instead of thinking the way men think. Some simple things I want you to understand. It doesn't take a man that long to decide if he wants to be exclusive with you. Within 90 days, give or take, he will know. It doesn't even take up to 90 days, but let's be generous. Within 90 days, he will know. He will know whether he wants you to be an exclusive commitment, like a girlfriend. He just wants to drag you along. He just wants to be friends with you. Men are extremely logical. It doesn't take long for them to get from A to B. Women are, as we know, we're very emotional. We can go from A to H to F and then maybe go to K before we consider coming to B. A man moves A to B. Within 3 months, on average, he will know if he wants to be exclusive with you. Within 6 months, on average, he will know if he wants to marry you. All these relationships that you are in for years, he doesn't want to marry you. If you have been in a situationship for months, he definitely does not want to marry you, and he for sure doesn't want to be in an exclusive relationship with you. Men are very factual, so a skill that I teach my clients is understanding how men think so that they are able to present themselves in a way that aligns with how men think. Okay? So to go from single to relationship to married within a year's time frame, these are some of the things you definitely want to consider, especially if you've not dated in a long time, you've been waiting, you've been hoping. I'll tell you now, it's not going to work. You need to participate. You've been going around the same mountain. It's not working. I mean, as you can see for yourself, you need to participate. And then the final thing I will say is you want to create opportunities to practically come in contact with men, right? You want to create opportunities to come into contact with men practically. Reason I'm saying this is part of the issue a lot of you have is you're just not meeting enough men. So when you meet men, you get overly excited, you have all these expectations, you desire all these things, you get misled because you're emotionally unprepared. So you want to create opportunities whereby you have a consistent level of interaction with men in your life so that you are not surprised. I had one of my clients that was stuck in a situationship, and I'll give you another example. But for this particular client, she was stuck in a situationship. We cleaned that up within a month of working together. The guy had basically dragged her along for months. We started our work together. Within 4 weeks, he was out of her life. We cleaned that up. It was done. Obviously, the guy was confused, but that's a whole other story. But she noticed, because as we closed that door, I showed her how to create opportunities to open another door, which is let's create opportunities for you to meet men. She started meeting men in all sorts of places. Online, literally walking down the street, a guy ran up to her, tried to get her number. Men were showing up, trying to, book taxis for her to go to the airport. She used to fly around a lot, trying to help her with projects at work. And it just became a constant experience for her that she was no longer surprised. And I said, the problem was you just weren't used to having these experiences. That is why you got attached to your situationship. So if he gave you just a little, maybe a little attention, a little time, you took it and ran a mile. But now that you're seeing, and these are men that she was just meeting, casually, and she was getting to know, but she first had to create the opportunity for that to happen, which I'll come back to. But now that she had opened that door, and it was now a constant flow of interaction with men, communicating, connecting with men, she realized that actually, I'm not getting as excited as before. I said, well, that's because now you're realizing this is nothing to get excited by. Okay, this is how men show you they are interested. This is how men show you that they want your time and attention. These are the things you get after you commit. These are the things you get to let you know they desire some level of access into your life. So there's that shift that you need to do. You want to create opportunities for men to come into your life, online and organically. And I'll tell you a story of another client. Now, she was against online dating. She had tried it, according to her, up to 50 times. And she said, oh, totally, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm tired, it doesn't work for me, da da da. I was like, okay, you've tried it up to 50 times, but you've not done it my way before. So let's give it a fresh approach with my way, with my strategies. Do you know, let me say it this way, that within the last, because this is a client that this is something that we augmented recently, 2-3 weeks, she's already meeting men. She's gone on one date that has given her so much excitement. In fact, I was talking to her yesterday and she was like, oh, this is the best date I've been in a very long time. She met him online. And it was a simple switch in strategy. And I was like, this is exactly what I was talking about. You had tried it up to 50 times on your own. This is the first time you're trying it with a different strategy, with a different approach, with a different angle. And you're already getting a completely different result. I want you to understand that the reason that you haven't gotten a different result in dating is because you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It cannot produce a different result if you repeat the same cycle. It is not because somebody swore for you somewhere. It is not your location. It is not your age. It is not your, I don't know, whatever excuse you want to put in that box. It is because literally you're just doing the same thing again and again. And that is the only result that can give you. If you do the same thing multiple times, you are not going to get a different result in anything in life. Okay, I think they said that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. It doesn't work that way. You need to try something different. You need to put a couple of things there that were not there before. And that is the process I walk my clients through in dating to marry that helps them go from single to married within a year. So let me see. Do we have any questions? Is this helpful? If you have any questions for me, drop it in the question box. I'll do a quick run over. So I've mentioned to get into a relationship leading to marriage, especially if you've been single for years, you definitely need to look at the data that your dating experience is telling you. You want to know your 70%, in other words, and a lot of you may think 70% is ambitious, but this is a usual occurrence for my clients. 70% is basically out of your list. What is 70% of qualities that you are looking for in a man? And how are you making yourself available to that? And it's also important to know the 30% you're willing to negotiate on. Before you entertain men, you need to know individually what your 30% is. You want to understand how you connect with men. You can know this by how men pursue you, how they perceive you, in other words, kind of conversations they have with you. If you are seeing the same pattern with multiple men, it is something in your positioning that needs to shift. You want to understand how men think. You want to create opportunities to meet men practically so that it is a regular occurrence and you don't get overly excited and make the wrong decisions. Awesome. So do we have any questions? Yeah, I have someone saying a man asking to borrow money within 4 to 5 weeks of dating, huge red flag. That's a very bad idea, definitely. Met a 40-year-old man and he has a lot to work on. Absolutely, age is not an indication of maturity. Does that mean if I'm looking for a rich guy, I should act rich, go to rich places, put on clothes that look rich? Okay, so let me answer this question. If you're looking for a guy that is financially stable, that is wealthy, of course, there are certain places and environments they're going to be in. Your life would be easier. It would be easier for you to meet such people if you go to such places. Absolutely. It's kind of like if you're looking to engage a lawyer, where do you go? A law firm. If you're looking to engage a doctor, where do you go? The hospital. So there are certain environments, members clubs, societal events that you will have a higher probability of meeting more eligible, financially stable, wealthy individuals. And it's easier for you to access those communities if you also work on imbibing those habits in your own life. For example, another thing is if you're looking for somebody that is into fitness, it makes sense for you to go to the gym. But you don't just go to the gym and look. You work out, you join some classes, you ask some questions from a trainer. You need to engage with that environment. That increases your chances of coming into contact with that person. So yes, absolutely. It is not, and I want to be clear, it's not living a fake life, it is making that a lifestyle. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Because these individuals, men are also people. There are certain qualities they're looking for in partners that they want to commit to. So are you matching those qualities? The more you do the work in yourself, it just translates into attracting more of those individuals into your life. Let's see. I'm dating a guy who cheated on me. He slept with another woman. You caught him. He begged you. Says he wants to marry you. You've forgiven him and stayed. But your problem is you're still finding it hard to trust him. Then you haven't fully forgiven him, have you? It's not about, see, a lot of you focus on the wrong things. Say, oh, what did you even say? A lot of you focus on the wrong things. He said he wants to marry you, so what? Like, you have to get to the place in dating where you know that you are a woman that men will desire to marry. If you doubt that, any man can dangle that in front of you and you jump up. And you're not going to attract eligible men that way, I'll tell you for a fact. So it's not about him wanting to marry you. It's about him cheating and looking at why that happened and how both of you can work through that. And if it's something that's happened before, then there's a probability there's a higher probability it will happen again. But you can work through it. Okay, don't get distracted by shiny objects. A shiny object I see for a lot of Christian women is, oh, he says he wants to marry me. So what? If you know, scripture even says a wife of noble character who can find, she is worth far more than rubies. That means you are the one that is holding a certain verity and caliber of value that men should desire. It's not the other way around. So you just need to fix up the way you're thinking about that situation. What are your thoughts on remaining respectful and modest while also trying to be appealing, sexy, and not trashy? I definitely approve of that. I don't know. I don't know when I did that post. I think I have an Instagram live on that as well. I definitely think you can be sexy, saved, and sensual as a woman. You are a woman, okay? It's part of your natural appeal. I don't think you need to be naked to be sexy. That's completely different. You can dress in clothing that complements your style, complements your figure. You can definitely make yourself more attractive in the way you look, taking care of your skin, your hair, your nails, wearing certain makeup that, if you're into makeup, of course, it's not required. Putting on makeup in a way that aligns with what you're most comfortable and you feel most confident in. Absolutely. I completely support it, full on. You do not need to be trashy to be sexy. I encourage my clients to actually, inside Dating to Marry program, one of the things I do, and just for like my clients in general, is looking at, based on physical appearance, how they're presenting themselves online, organically. I literally go through their profiles. Okay, we work on what kind of pictures are you putting out there. Change this picture. I don't like how it's, I don't like the way the light is hitting their skin, or I think it's not their most flattering pictures. Because men are visual. It's just a fact. Men are visual. When you look good, feel good, it makes more sense. I'm sure you guys have experienced this. When you look good and you go out, do you not get more compliments? Are people not quicker to help you? It's literally just a fact. Okay? So yes, use it to your advantage. Absolutely. What would you say is one of the best dating apps? I definitely think you can use any dating apps to your advantage. If you want, I have a $30 guide on the dating apps I recommend and how to set up your profile, how to choose the right pictures so that you are optimizing those apps. And also, I also give some questions on how you can create opportunities organically. If you want that guide, just DM me the word guide and I'll send it to you. But generally speaking, you can meet men. I know women that have met their husbands on Tinder. I know women that have met their husbands on Facebook. You can use any apps. Okay, I've had clients meet men in different places online and organically. It's not about, you just want to optimize the way you're using the platforms that you show up in. That's pretty much it. Do you have any other questions? How long should a guy chase you before you accept a relationship? Well, it's not about how long he chases you. It's about what you've seen in that time frame. What has he shown you that would make you want to commit? Why do you want to commit? What did you see that makes you want to commit? Just because somebody has been pursuing you for a relationship for months doesn't mean they're the right fit. If they've not courted you properly, you guys have nothing in common, they don't take you on quality dating experiences, they don't care about your day-to-day routine, they haven't provided any value in your life, I'm not even sure why you're talking to them for months at that point. But if you're talking to someone that you can see they're intentional, they're serious, they're showing up for you, they treat you like a lady, they make quality time available to spend with you, they take you out, they respect your schedule and your routine, then, it makes sense that you would consider that person for commitment. Of course, there are deeper levels to this, but because I was speaking on a general platform, those are some general things you should consider. So that's what you should focus on instead. Is it possible to meet a guy in 3 months? Is it possible? I'm guessing your question is meet and marry a man within a 3-month time frame. Yes, absolutely, that happens. That is possible. But again, I don't know what you'll be I would recommend you have a very deep conviction. You would have received confirmation from the Lord around this. You would have peace in your spirit about it. You will have gotten some spiritual mentor to give you like perspective, and you are clear on the reason why you want to marry this person in that case. Okay, the last question I have here is, what can one do to attract high quality men? Become a high quality woman. It's just that simple. It's kind of like, what can one do? Think about what a high quality man is to you. List out the qualities and ask yourself how you are making yourself that individual. Like attracts like. Iron sharpens iron. So whatever you want, you have to become. And part of the Dating to Marry program process is helping my clients to become the kind of woman that attracts the men that they want. And what's interesting is they start to see it. I call it inflection points, and you should notice this in your dating. The men that you attract should not look the same. So maybe you started dating again, you attract a guy that meets 30% of your qualities in the first month. You shouldn't keep attracting a man that only meets 30% of your qualities in your 3rd month of dating. It should have gone up to a man that meets 50% of your qualities, 60%. There should be an increase in the quality and caliber of men that you're attracting to align with the quality that you are looking for. The only way that increase happens is the more work you do on yourself, the better you get at dating, the better you get at communicating with men, discerning, connecting with men, the more you are likely to increase your chances of meeting the caliber of men you want. And in the Dating to Marry program, that is why, in a 6-month timeline, I put my clients through that process of practically dating with discernment. When I say practically dating with discernment, I mean my clients are meeting men, talking to men, going on dates. We are literally going through the process together of talking about, you met John today, you went on a date with, you went on a date with Ayo last week. How did it go? What's going on in that connection? Maybe you and Tunde had a disagreement. Why? We are in the meat of it. Okay, we're not doing theoretical things here. It's important that to date to marry, you need to date. Okay, you need to go through that process. And in the program, how I walk my clients through that process is, firstly, we go through an audit to see your leaks. In other words, the areas in which it's the areas in your life that is making it difficult for you to attract men at all. We close those up, clean it up, so that you are now in a position to attract men more frequently. I help you set up your organic strategy to meet men, your dating profile, go through that with you, and then walk you through the process of talking to men, connecting with men, going on dates, participate with you through the process of choosing the kind of men you want to go on dates with, working with the feedback from that. So it's a constant process of putting your foot to the pedal, so to speak. Learning to hear from God through that process. Okay, what's the Lord telling you? What revelations has he given you about this person? Getting comfortable with the discomfort of maybe you didn't hear from God and you've been talking to Ayo for 3 weeks and you're getting nervous. How do you deal with that? So the whole program is structured to walk you through the process of dating to marry by dating to marry. Okay, so that's how the clients I work with are able to switch from single to married within a 12-month time frame. Okay, so I have a question here. Why is it Christian man chats you on a dating app, when you exchange Instagram, he suddenly starts speaking to you? Maybe he didn't see what he liked on Instagram. It's not about being a Christian man, he's just a man. And that's another distinction you guys need to make. Christian men are still men, okay? Christian is his identity, but his gender is man. Understand that. So in some cases, you may think you're dealing with a Christian man based on his identity, but you're actually dealing with his gender. In other words, he's being a man. It has nothing to do with whether he's a Christian or not. So yeah, this was fun. Let me know if this was helpful to you. Tap the hearts. If you want to work with me one-on-one in my dating program, Dating to Marry, where I show you how to go from single to married in a 12-month time frame, and you are a single Christian woman over 30, you don't have time today, you have a demanding career, and you're ready to take your dating to the next step and step into marriage, then just click the link in my bio and first tab and apply for the Dating to Marry program. Okay, if you have any questions about the program, you can always send me a DM. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Take care. Bye.